This podcast is part of a special series highlighting work to be discussed at the 2024 Cancer Neuroscience Symposium, which is hosted by MD Anderson Cancer Center and Wiley on February 28th through March 1st, 2024, with options to attend virtually or in person. Learn more and register at mdanderson.org/Cancer Neurosymposium.
Hello, everyone. Here we are back with Beyond Cancer. Today I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Bernie Mattson, and today we are interviewing Dr. Moran Amit.
Dr. Amit is an assistant professor of head and neck surgery at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas. And I will let him give us a brief introduction to his background and his education and training, because it has a few different career plot twists that is both exciting and help to inform the field of cancer neuroscience that we have today.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Brandy. Thanks for a nice introduction, and thanks for having me here today. And most importantly, thank you, Sahana, for putting together this series of episodes focused on cancer neuroscience. I'm Moran. I'm a head and neck surgeon here at MD Anderson. I got my basic training in Israel, where I went to medical school. After that, I served as a field surgeon in the military. After my service, I thought a lot about what I want to do, and it was evident for me that I want to work with cancer patients. I still wasn't sure about, whether or not I'd like to pursue a career in research. And I was fortunate to have great mentors along the way that kind of walked me through the gates of science. I had my master's in neuroscience and my PhD in cancer biology and immunology, both in Israel and the Technion. I completed my residency, moved to the States to get advanced training in head and neck surgical oncology, which I completed here, and I did my postdoc right after at the lab of Dr. Jeffrey Myers. And now my research is focused on cancer neuroscience and the interaction between nerves and cancer, and how nerves are regulating the development and progression and response to treatment of cancer, and also how cancer modulates the nervous system and how it affects the patient outcomes, not only in the sense of survival, but also patient performance and quality of life. Clinically, I'm focused mostly on skin cancer and oral cavity cancers, and I'm trying to align my research interests with my clinical work in order to provide the best possible care to our patients, so we can actually not, again, improve just their survival outcome, but also their functional ones. And thank you all for the opportunity to be here today with you.
Yeah, of course. So I'm curious, let's backtrack a bit. What research have you conducted in the past, and what was the switch that made you look toward cancer neuroscience?
Yeah, so my PhD was focused mostly on actually pancreatic cancer, surprisingly enough. Pancreatic cancer is a type of tumor that is very neurotropic. It's the cancer cells are attracted to nerves. So it serves as a role model for a lot of the cancer neuron questions that we have outside of the brain. The findings were pretty striking. We found that there are multiple players in this interaction, and me specifically, I was focused on the role of macrophages and the immune system. And we found that by regulating or modulating the involvement of different molecules within those immune cells actually results in inhibition of this process called perineural invasion. Perineural invasion is the fourth route of metastasis. It's way less investigated or researched compared to the other routes of metastasis, like hematogenic spread to distant organs or lymphatic spread to draining lymph nodes, and also local invasion, which there are many great labs that are studying. But perineural invasion is a very unique form of invasion because the cancer cells travel to basically no space. So there's no lumen like you have in vessels. So they really need to carve their way, and they really need to have a specific skill set that allows them to do that and utilize the nerves as highway for dissemination. So it's a very unique and ominous feature at the same time. And biologically, it's very interesting and striking. So when I started looking at it, I found a lot of very interesting things. And, one thing led to another, and I ended up focusing my entire career just looking at those interactions between cancer and nerves, which are very unique and highly unexplored.
So kind of going off of that, well then what is, could you speak about what your personal view of the role that nerves play in cancer and really how we can harness the nervous system to remodel this neural tumor microenvironment that you've been speaking of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great question because you hit the point of how we harness it to treat cancer patients. So I think that the easiest way to explain the roles of the nervous system would be to make always the analogy to the immune system. So when one look at those two systems from an evolutionary standpoint, the immune system and the nervous system were both developed and designed, quote unquote, to protect the host in two different ways. But the sensory system is supposed to give us alert from a danger, and even the pain sensation should tell us, hey, you should stay back from this and that. And this homeostatic role of nerves in cancer also plays a significant role when tumors start to evolve. And we know that cancer has the capacity to harness those nerves and hack them, basically hacking the nervous system in order to, one, avoid the host protection in the context of neuroimmune interaction, but also to provide a growth signal and progression signal that allows those tumors to evolve, progress, and disseminate. There's a seminal paper by Claire Mignon and Paul Fernet. This was like the first paper of the peripheral nervous system role that showed directly in 2013 in Science. And they showed really nicely how the different branches of the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, involved in tumor inception and downstream to the tumor dissemination and progression. And they were actually able to target each branch of the autonomic nervous system and stop those processes. So I think that, Brandy, answering your question, those signals that are derived from the nervous system are things that promote tumor growth, and we definitely can harness them in the form of blocking them or augment them. It really depends what signal we're looking at in order to fight cancer. So in the past decade, people have done it in multiple cancer models, mostly in vivo, and this is something that we're actively studying in my lab, and I know many other labs as well.
So you're talking about this idea of harnessing and targeting particular branches of the nervous system. That kind of speaks to starting to possibly repurpose neurological or pharmaceutical agents that target these different branches of the peripheral nervous system to try to manipulate the environment to possibly lead to better, therapeutic outcomes against cancer, to slow tumor growth and to help to maybe shrink it and make combinatorial therapies possible.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and this is what we're trying to do. The beauty of the field, unlike the field of immunobiology and immunotherapy, is that it's like an upside down pyramid. With immunotherapy, we knew a lot about the biology, but we didn't have the aims to target it. So developing all the molecules, the antibodies, these things took a long time, but we knew exactly what we want to block. Now, with cancer neuroscience, we are in a very unique situation when we also already have those molecules from other fields, like you mentioned, psychiatry, neurology, even, blood pressure medications that target the nervous system, or prostate enlargement with alpha agonists. All those things exist. They have relatively relatively established safety profile. They're relatively safe, they're affordable, and the only caveat is that we don't have good enough understanding of what those neurological signals are that promote cancer. So we already have the aims, but we don't have the knowledge. In many instances, we don't even know what nerves are present or absent in different and specific types of cancers. So, we can't really treat all nerves the same because they deliver different signals and even in different directions. And by exploring the biology now, we will be able to characterize those things. And fortunately enough, once we figure it out, it'll be easy to target it because we already have the drugs to do so.
So it sounds like one of the biggest roadblocks that you're describing is that we don't have markers or tools to really highlight and isolate those specific nerve branches within the neural tumor microenvironment.
So that was actually very true up until, let's say, 3 to 5 years, where spatial technology started to evolve, and now we have many spatial tools that allows us to study the nerves in their cancer context. Markers is a tricky question. Yeah, we do have neuron subpopulation that it's hard to define. For example, motor nerves, we don't have good markers for those. But I think that for most branches of the nervous system, we have reliable, markers that we can use.
Okay. And, I just have a fun little question I threw in. But cancer neuroscience, we know that it's a very niche field, and a long-lasting debate is how you train emerging scientists. I'm at a point in my life where I don't know, should I go for an MD, PhD? Should I go for an MD? How do I approach this to be a good scientist in this field? And as someone who has both an MD and a PhD, what do you think a background for cancer neuroscience should constitute of? Should someone pursue their MD first and then dive into neuroscience, or should someone pursue a PhD in neuroscience first and then delve into cancer biology? What's your take?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Sahana, that we as a society or a community of scientists involved in cancer neuroscience are trying to figure out these days. What would be the best way to train people that want to pursue this emerging field? For many years, there was a disconnect between neuroscientists and cancer biologists. It's either you got trained in one or the other. And unfortunately or fortunately, they're speaking two different languages. So I think that the best way to go is, if you really want to pursue this field and you have passion for neuroscience, but at the same time you find cancer very compelling and very intriguing for yourself, maybe when you're developing your advisory board and you're working with your advisor on your hypothesis and thesis proposal, you might want to get both disciplines involved. You want to have neuroscientists on board, and you also want to have cancer biologists. This will give you the breadth of knowledge that neuroscientists need, but also it will give you access to cancer modeling, which is a critical thing when it goes to cancer research. Here at MD Anderson, we developed a program through the graduate school that we have a curriculum course for cancer neuroscience. Also, we just put together the Cancer Neuroscience textbook, which is available for any trainee that want to expand his or her or their horizons in this context. But it's really important that on the get-go you will have multidisciplinary kind of a panel of experts or expertise in your advisory board, because unfortunately it's very early, so we don't have a lot of programs that are having both disciplines. So you need to be just mindful to that.
Thank you. And then bringing it back to the 2024 Cancer Neuroscience Symposium, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to it. Like last year we had the first meeting. It was a great success, like over 1,000 attendees. And I just came back from Germany from the Cancer Neuroscience in Heidelberg. And it was the first time we all met in person, the people that are involved in the field. And we created like very strong connections, research and scientific connections. And I'm really excited about to see how it's going to evolve from that point. Meaning how those collaborations are going to mature into actual work plan and data. I'm also really excited about hearing some clinical data, seeing the clinical outcomes, and also at the same time seeing some, basic science, unpublished, novel data that gonna shed some light on different aspects of cancer that we just know very little about. I'm mostly excited about, the new data, the clinical data, but more than anything, just meeting with, other cancer neuroscientists and friends from all over the world.
Yeah, thank you for that. And with that, we'll conclude this episode. Thank you so much, Moran, for being here for this episode, and thank you so much, Brandy, for helping co-host me. And to our viewers, we will see you guys next time.
This podcast is part of a special series highlighting work to be discussed at the 2024 Cancer Neuroscience Symposium, which is hosted by MD Anderson Cancer Center and Wiley on February 28th through March 1st, 2024, with options to attend virtually or in person. Learn more and register at mdanderson.org/Cancer Neurosymposium.